Chapter 2. Uncle Herbert shows no improvement. It's not even silver, Kate's brother said. It's black. And what would you do with the silver arrow anyway? Hunt werewolves, Kate said, obviously. And where would we even put it, said her mother. Oh, I figured that out, Uncle Herbert said. We'll set up some tracks in the backyard. In the back, Kate's mom was so angry she couldn't even finish her sentences. Herbert, you are such a blockhead. We are not putting train tracks in our backyard, Kate's mother said. That's where my shade garden is going to go. Oh, you don't have to do it yourselves, Uncle Herbert said proudly. I've already done it. I got some workers to do it last night. I had them use muffled hammers so you wouldn't wake up. Kate's parents stared at Uncle Herbert. Privately, Kate thought that for a guy in a banana yellow suit, he was turning out to be a pretty sharp operator. It occurred to her that this was a good practical application for one of her heroes used to say, which is that sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. Grace Hopper said that. She was born more than 100 years ago in 1906, but back then the world was way too prejudiced to allow women to be computer programmers, and computers hadn't even invented yet anyway. But in spite of all that, Grace Hopper became a computer programmer and wrote the world's first software compiler. By the time she died, at the age of 85, she was a rear admiral in the Navy. They named the aircraft carrier after her. Grace Hopper was something of a role model for Kate. 2 hours later, all 5 of them, Kate, Tom, Mom, Dad, and Uncle Herbert, were in the backyard, staring at the steam engine. It stood on the length of a track on the thin, burnt yellow grass with the tender behind it. Together, the 2 cars took up most of the yard. Even Kate's mom and dad had to admit they were pretty impressive. We could charge people money to sit in it, Tom said. No way, Kate said. I don't want weird strangers sitting in the private train with their weird butts. Don't say butts, said her father. Cigarette butts, Kate said. Ifs and or buts, just don't. How old is it? Tom asked. Don't know, Uncle Herbert said. How fast does it go? Don't know. Could the strongest man in the world lift it? No, I know the strongest man in the world, and he definitely couldn't lift it. Want to get in? They sure did. It was a bit of a scramble. The train was, as previously mentioned, really big and definitely not built for kids. But Kate and Tom were expert scramblers, and there were a couple of iron steps welded to the side of it, and a bar to grab onto. What happened next was actually a tiny bit disappointing. If Kate was being completely honest, being inside the cab of a steam engine isn't like being in the driver's seat of a car or truck or an airplane. For starters, there was no windshield because the giant barrel of the boiler is in the way, so you can't see what's in front of you. There are 2 little portholes on either side, but they're not much help. It's more like a little room, the engine room of a ship maybe, but a really old ship without any computers or radar or anything. Brass and steel tubes ran everywhere, like overgrown vines, crowding valve handles and buttons and cranks and glassed-in dials and more tubes. None of them had labels. The cab smelled like old oil. At a car mechanics, it was definitely real, but it was also completely incomprehensible. There were 2 fold-down seats. Kate and Tom folded them down and sat. Now I get why train drivers are always leaning out the window, Tom said. It's the only way you can see where you're going. Yeah, too bad we're not going anywhere. Kate leaned out the window. Hey, Uncle Herbert, it's weird in here. We don't know what to do, Tom said. There isn't even a steering wheel. You don't steer a train, Uncle Herbert said, squinting up at them. You just go where the tracks go. Oh, right. There was no brake or gas pedal either, or not that Kate could see. Is there a whistle? Kate asked. Yes, Uncle Herbert said. It's a steam whistle, though. Doesn't work without steam. Oh. Kate and Tom wandered around, spinning wheels and pulling levers and moving anything that moved. None of it did anything. It looked cool, but they were kind of at a loss how to play with it. They opened the stove thing set into the wall. It was full of cold ashes and soot. Tom pretended it was a tank and soot on his seat. A machine gun and an army of invisible Nazis out the window. But you could tell his heart wasn't 100% in it. Then they climbed down again. It was all a little anticlimactic. You know what we should do? Kate said when they were back on the ground. We should connect these tracks with the old ones in the woods. There were some rusty old tracks out there, buried in leaves and sunk in the mud, she said, and Tom found them one day when they were out exploring. Those old things, their father said. Been a long time since a train ran on those tracks. All right, everybody, their mom clapped her hands for attention. It's Kate's birthday today. Who remembers when my birthday is? Next week, Kate said. That's right. 1 week from now. That's how long you can keep the train. Then, as your birthday present to me, Herbert, you're going to get rid of it. What? Kate said. But what if I already got you something else? Uncle Herbert said in a small voice. Did you get me a flatbed truck hauling away a gigantic blazing steam train? Kate smiled, put her hands to her hips. Is that my birthday present? No. Then whatever it is, send it back. For my birthday, you're going to get this thing out of here. No, Kate shouted before she even knew what she was doing. You can't. It's mine.